with you tonight. You don't have to look up at the stars. No.
Come take a look at my dream world.
You don't have to look up at the stars.
Chat, if you wanna come get it, then come for it. I'm so clean, my kick's nice, I'm Chuck Norris. Minute made the beat bounce, had to jump on it. Run for it, run, Gump Forrest Gump like hollow pumps, you gotta jump. No trouble, no double, I got a stun. You don't have to look up at the stars. Make one wish, you're looking at a star. Swag so fresh, you can put it in the jar. And the way I change gear, you can put me in the car. I remember when me and Seif used to sneak in every concert door. Now I got my feet in. Every day is Gift Friday, no weekend.
You don't have to look up at the stars.
Welcome back to your favorite live sports show. That is indeed #ThisJustin. I don't think introductions are needed here, but I'm going to introduce you guys anyway. I mean, they're family on this show. Every week we bring Adam, and he is back on Friday nights with the NFL with AJL. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, man, what's up? Feeling amazing. Let's get it.
Let's get it. And this guy has been away for far too long, Calvin Domingo, but you know him as Steezy A. Smith, the best dressed man in the business. Steezy, welcome back.
Man, like you said, Justin, it's been so long. I missed you guys. I know Adam, it's been a while since I've seen Adam back in the game.
Too damn long.
Way too long. Yeah. So I've seen him back in. For me, it's been a lot long, way too long for me. So it's just a pleasure being here. Thanks for having me on, brother. And happy to be on.
If we're talking football, you know we had to get you. And so I just told you, we're not here to talk about Kyrie Irving. We're not here to talk about the Dallas Mavericks.
Thankfully.
We're not even here to talk about Sean Payton or any other thing not named this. Oh, sorry about that, Adam. We are here to talk Eagles and Chiefs. Two teams, the identical 16-3 record with 6 All-Pros on each side, including their black starting quarterback, who would have led an offense with exactly 546 points. Would you believe it? This is as even a matchup as you can get. So considering that, Adam Lewis, these teams, you can't get them apart or separate them. So what is the matchup that will decide Super Bowl LVII?
Yes, sir. This is a great way to start the show. These teams are really even, you feel like. Obviously the Eagles are very balanced. Kansas City, you would like to see more out of that defense. But I feel like when you dig into both of these teams and, okay, what matchup really is going to decide who's the champion on Sunday, I think you take a look at the trenches. We've heard about it. The Eagles have the first overall pass rush win rate. Chiefs are turning around and having the first overall pass block win rate. So it's pretty even on that side of the ball. And I know people are going to talk about, is Mahomes going to be able to get away from that pressure in the trenches? He's had a full 2 weeks off. The guy was a monster on the whole one leg thing. We had that whole spiel. So he's going to look great. He's really going to get tested. I'm very excited to see it. You also looked at the Eagles were first in the NFL in sacks with 70, just behind the NFL record. If y'all didn't know, 1984 Bears, we know how vaunted and how respected that defense is. And the Chiefs were second in the NFL in sacks with 55. So I really feel like that's where a lot of this even competition is going to come from. Quarterback play is going to be great. Coaching is going to be great. I don't want to spoil too much. I know we're going to get to picks at the end. But I think you look at the trenches here, and it's just like it's going to be so great to watch these teams just go play for play, yard for yard. Patrick Mahomes' second Super Bowl is what he's going for. Jalen Hurts is still trying to earn that respect, and it's going to be great. It's going to be priceless for sure.
Going to be a great matchup. So, Steezy, for you, what is the actual matchup that is going to decide this Super Bowl?
I hate to have the same answer, but to kind of piggyback off of what Adam was saying, I mean, it comes down to the trenches. I think it's real simple. It's something that's got to give, right? Kansas City, they have one of the best O-lines in football. The Philadelphia Eagles have one of the best D-lines, if not the best D-line in football. Adam already said it. I mean, the third most amount of sacks in a single season was 70. That vaunts in 1984 Bears defense at 72. So they literally finished 2 behind them. They had 4 guys finish with double digits in sacks. And the unique thing about that Philadelphia Eagles defense is that they can get after the quarterback without having to blitz. They don't have to send extra guys to get after the quarterback. Literally, their 4 guys on the line can get after the quarterback just by themselves, right? I mean, we've seen Hassan Reddick just completely terrorize quarterbacks and opposing offensive lines all postseason long. And with Mahomes, I mean, I'm not at all worried about his mobility. I think he did just fine against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. But I like to think that his mobility is a very sneaky and underrated aspect of his game. Now, with that Philadelphia Eagles pass rush, I don't know if he's able to kind of use that. And so, again, it really just comes down to the trenches. It's really that simple, something that's got to give. We don't know what's going to give until the game actually occurs. So, but something's got to give. That's what it is for me.
Well, this is going to be a very boring show until Ken comes back, hopefully. And the face you're seeing there, guys, is indeed Ken of the Green Bay podcast. He's having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, he'll be able to join us later on the show. But yeah, this is going to be a boring segment because if you've watched this show long enough, you know what I say. Games are decided in the trenches. And to your point, I won't belabor it. First, the Philadelphia Eagles front seven. Like y'all mentioned, it led the league in sacks with 70, led the league in pressures, led the league in hits. So, you know, part of that is how will you be able to keep Patrick Mahomes clean when you're talking about the likes of Fletcher Cox, Hassan Reddick. Hopefully, you know, Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni learned from San Francisco 49ers' mistake of trying to put a backup tight end to block Hassan Reddick. I think that was crazy. But it's like, they don't need a blitz to get after Patrick Mahomes, and we know that Patrick Mahomes is one of the better quarterbacks since entering the league against blitz. How well will they be able to keep Patrick Mahomes clean with that offensive line that they have? And it is a lot better than the unit that we last saw in that last Super Bowl when they were absolutely decimated against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I think it's both trenches and not just the trench that we're talking about. Because on the opposite side, guys, and I'm not sure if I missed y'all mentioning this, the Philadelphia Eagles forget me. The Philadelphia Eagles have the best offensive line in all of football. To the point, I think each one of their 5 starters does not rank any lower than 7th overall in their individual rankings. And you're talking about arguably the best center in football in Jason Kelce, a top 5 left tackle in Jordan Mailata, and then on the right side, Lane Johnson, arguably the best right tackle again in all of football. You saw what that looked like against San Francisco vaunted front seven. Like, San Francisco were not able to get any sort of pass rush, any type of penetration whatsoever, and they dominated. Similarly against New York's vaunted front seven, they could not get any penetration. And the reason why that is so key to this game is when Philadelphia controls those lanes of scrimmage, you're not going to beat them. And you saw it all day against San Francisco, against the Giants. They're doing as they want because it's a team that predicates itself on the run. And if you're not hitting them behind the line of scrimmage, then you're having problems. And you have to be disciplined in your pass rushes as well. You can't decide to duck inside because that means Jalen Hurts is going to take it on the edge. And then if you stay home, then they just hand off to Miles Sanders. So I think both lanes of scrimmage are very important. And I think against that Philly front, the 2 most important players in this game is maybe not even be Patrick Mahomes. I suspect it has to be Frank Clark and Chris Jones on what they do on the inside against that Philly front. What matchup decides the Super Bowl?
Yeah, so when I looked at this, I think it's mainly about the Eagles' run game versus the Kansas City run defense. The Eagles have the number 1 rushing attack in the league, and they just put up 148 yards on the number 1 defense in the NFL. I do apologize for my late entry the quality of my camera. As soon as we were about to start, the electricity decided it did not want to cooperate. So I'm using the little light that I'm still getting through the window before the sun disappears, and my phone has a hot spot. But anyhow, as I was saying, so Kansas City, they lost a lot of their explosiveness on offense, which means that they need the time of possession not necessarily to be on their side, but it has to be much more balanced than what Philly had in the NFC Championship game where they had the ball for almost 40 minutes. If that happens, then the Eagles run away literally with this game. So the Kansas City Chiefs, they need to find a way to stymie the Eagles run game and get some time of possession for Patrick Mahomes where he can afford to methodically work his way down the field, because that is what the NFL has been trying to do to the Chiefs pretty much the entire time that he's been there, and they had more success with it this season than they've had in seasons past, especially with the loss of Tyreek Hill. So now Philly's going to, that's what Philly's going to want to do, because hopefully mistakes will creep into his game. Once the Kansas City Chiefs are able to control the run defense, make sure that they're not losing time of possession and not having any time for Mahomes to work with, I think they'll be fine.
So, Adam, not only are these two teams even in terms of points scored, in terms of record, in terms of the number of all-pros, both are bringing two black starting quarterbacks for a historic matchup of the first time in the NFL Super Bowl that we are having this type of matchup.
Yep.
How significant is this to have two black, or the first time to have two black starting quarterbacks in Super Bowl?
This is absolutely fantastic. Shout out to Black History Month, of course, being here in February, and just what a great time to have this happen. The Super Bowl, one of the biggest events in the world, let alone, the biggest event in sports or in the NFL. This is absolutely phenomenal. Mahomes and Hurts, they're two of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. They're both really fun to watch. They both play really great. They're both in the MVP conversation. They're both just absolutely playing their minds out this year. And I know we're going to get into some respect for Jalen Hurts in a little bit, but I just absolutely love to see this. What more could you ask from it? It's like they're already breaking records before they're even on the field. It's great. It's going to be a lot of support for everyone, a lot of support for everything. And I think a lot of people are going to be able to get behind this and just appreciate what we're actually able to witness. It's going to be one of the best Super Bowls in a while. I know it will for sure, just based off the numbers that we all talked about with the matchup. So it's great. And it's everything the NFL needs to shine a light on a league that is not necessarily viewed so great at times.
Steezy, is this a significant moment in NFL history, or is the media market making too much of this situation?
Not at all. I think this is absolutely significant. I think when it comes to black quarterbacks, there seems to be this stigma that, they don't prepare for the game, mentally like other quarterbacks. They'll try to change your position. They'll try to break you. They'll try to criticize you unfairly. But I think, simply put, it doesn't matter what the color of your skin color is. At the end of the day, if you're able to produce on the football field, then that's that. And it just so happens that these guys are, like Adam said, they're putting up amazing statistics. They're great leaders. They're great people off the field, not just on the field, but off the field as well. And so I think this kind of changes the dynamic of how, front office people approach and look at draft. We look at Lamar Jackson. I understand he had accuracy issues coming out of, college, but for him to be drafted almost, look how elite, look how great he is in the NFL, regardless of what you think of his ability as a pure passer. He's a great quarterback in the National Football League. That's something that cannot be denied. And so I think with Jalen Hurts and with Patrick Mahomes, you look at what they're doing, front offices are going to approach the position differently as far as the NFL draft, just the entire evaluation process. So I think this is monumental. I think this is absolutely significant. I think it is absolutely great to see two brothers duking it out. And I hope that this changes things for the better in the near future.
Yep.
How significant is this, Ken, having these two black starting quarterbacks in the NFL?
Yeah, the impact of this can't be understated. We went from no black players in the league to no black quarterbacks because that was the thinking man's position, which was to directly exclude the black man from being a quarterback. We still hear all the talk about a black player's athleticism and a white player's IQ, which is the same coded talk we heard from back in the 50s and 60s. As some prominent commentators have said, they made speed and athleticism a bad thing for certain positions. But gradually, as we come through the 90s and 2000s, there were more opportunities open up in places like Minnesota and Tennessee for the black quarterback. The black capital of the U.S., which is Atlanta, had a black QB for the longest time before they got him sent to prison for allegedly fighting dogs. But the league still gave him another chance. When the league decided to give black quarterbacks a chance, and not just a chance to have the position, but to try to create offenses to their strengths, the black QB has now risen to prominence. 11 teams had a black quarterback at the start of the season. And the Chiefs, Eagles, Seahawks, Ravens, and Cowboys had a black quarterback start their games in the playoffs. But for injury, that would also have been the Dolphins and maybe the 49ers. And then there are the white QBs who play like black quarterbacks, namely Josh Allen and Daniel Jones, whose athleticism may have been used against them in the past. The league still struggles with many things. But embracing of the black quarterback is well underway, and this momentous occasion can't be overstated.
So, like, way to me at least, this is so significant is that I've heard people, and I mean, in direct conversations, say, well, the league is like 70% black. What's a big deal? Well, that is the reason it's a big deal. Because imagine that your league is predominantly black, and it took this long to finally have a matchup in the sport's biggest showcase of two black quarterbacks. I can't speak for y'all, gentlemen. I can't even speak for Ken. But I am old enough to remember Doug Williams finally making that breakthrough for the Washington Commanders, you know, as the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And it took almost 3 decades, guys, almost 3 decades, which is, more than a lot of people's lifespan, for another black quarterback to get to that milestone, and that would have been Russell Wilson. And when I first heard the news or realized the stat, like a week ago, when it was first said that this is the first Super Bowl with a matchup of two black starting quarterbacks, I gave it a pause. Like, that's not true. We've had a matchup before, right? And it dawned on me, no, that's not the case, because I was thinking back, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like, Jalen Hurts is going to become just the 8th black starting quarterback to appear in the Super Bowl. Like, think about that, guys. In a league that is 70% black. And to what y'all each spoke about, we've had these quarterbacks coming out of college. And again, I'm old enough to remember the situation, well, just barely out of my time span, with Warren Moon. Like, we all knew at that time, or everyone would have known, Warren Moon would have been the best player coming out of college. And for whatever reason, these NFL GMs and coaches decided that Warren Moon should not be playing the position in the NFL. And who knows what records or stats Warren Moon would have had if he was able to start his career in the NFL. In the NFL, he was brought on later in his life. And people then saw just how good Warren Moon is. I say that to see, like, yeah, this is a historic occasion. Like, just the 8th starting quarterback that's black in the NFL, that's going to be Jalen Hurts. And we're guaranteed that, at least one of them obviously is going to win. It is sad that this has to be news, but it is significant, because if you have a situation where your league is predominantly black, but your head coaches aren't, your front office is not, the ownership is not, like, why did it take so long for us to get here to this situation? And like I was mentioning earlier, it was weird for me because I figured, hold on a second, didn't we have a matchup of black quarterbacks before? Because, like, you look through the league and you have, again, the aforementioned Russell Wilson, you have Lamar Jackson, you have Dak Prescott, you have Kyler Murray, and none of these quarterbacks, with the exception of Russ, have been able to get through. So to see this moment in history, it is a massive thing, whether people want to downplay it or not. And to show you that, like Steezy said, regardless of color, like, with black athletes, black sportsmen not being, like, who are high thinkers, that's just stupid and crazy. And I would hate to think that in the year of 2023 that we're still in this situation. And speaking of one of those quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, I'm going to go straight to his biggest supporter that I know, Adam. So get in here.
Yes.
And you seem to have on green, so this is perfect time to start with you on this one. Jalen Hurts has had his issues, whether in his job at Alabama, being overlooked coming out of Oklahoma, where he was a second-round draft pick in the Eagles, having to sit behind Carson Wentz. So now that we have seen him lead the Eagles back to Super Bowl, Adam, is Jalen Hurts finally proven himself, or is he simply a product of Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni's offensive system?
Jalen Hurts has 100% proved himself, and I almost just to this point want to just pull up the reel that I posted yesterday, because I laid it all out there for Jalen Hurts and gave him his flowers. You look at
you should have spoken Neil, and so you could put that reel on.
Honestly, I can pull it on now. We can put it on the screen, whatever. I can give you the take. It don't matter. But obviously, y'all know I love Jalen Hurts. The guy took major leaps in the last 2 seasons. One of the best rushing QBs in the league. Very intelligent. He's very poised. He's very accurate. And now people are saying that, the Eagles have been loaded all year. Jalen isn't having to do a whole lot. And if you look from the passing aspect of the quarterback position, that is true. It's just kind of Lamar Jackson type of numbers, 3,700 yards, 22 touchdowns. But don't act like your eyes have been lying to you and what he's showing you on the field. Like, the dude's in the MVP conversation. He's got his team in the Super Bowl. He lost one game as a starter this year to the Commanders. Shout out to, I think, JT and the Don actually called that. But this is the one that I really want to drive home to people. A quarterback that is in the MVP conversation that has his team in the Super Bowl accounted for 35 of his 59 offensive touchdowns that the Eagles as a whole scored this year. That's about 60%. You go look at Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Those dudes are doing it about a 65 to 70% clip, which is great. But just because Hurts isn't up in that 5 to 7% higher doesn't mean he's not doing it for his team. 13 rushing touchdowns is fourth in the entire NFL, not just quarterbacks, not just running backs, the entire league. He was fourth. The offense was ninth in yards per game, and they were also ninth in rush yards per game. So, I mean, what more do we have to say about Jalen Hurts? Oh, Tua took his job. Who's a better quarterback today? I rest my case.
Ken, same thing. A product of the system of Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni, or should we stop the doubting of Jalen Hurts now?
Unfortunately,
don't let me scare you.
I will not be as effusive as my learned colleague here on the panel. Now, for me, this is a tricky question to answer when the quarterback is the system. This Eagles offense is built off of Hurts' ability to throw the ball effectively enough and his ability to take off and run and be physical at the point of attack. It isn't on the level of Josh Allen in Buffalo or Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, because they haven't practiced a full dereliction of duty by giving him substandard talent at all the skill positions. He has weapons to throw the ball to and hand it off to, but the fact that he's been so effective in the system designed for his strengths is a credit to him. So just to sum it up, I believe that Jalen Hurts has shown us a lot. I am still not 100% convinced as yet, but like I said, he is the system in Philadelphia. This is the first time he was in the same offensive system for 2 years in a row since he was in high school. So his development is all credit to him.
Steezy, do you have any question marks about Jalen Hurts as a pocket quarterback or a quarterback in general? Or do you think indeed system?
I mean, honestly, to kind of piggyback off of what bro was talking about, I mean, just the fact that he's the system alone shows that he can't be a byproduct of Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen's system. I mean, you can name a bunch of other quarterbacks in the NFL that are the system. There aren't that many. I can't count on more than one hand how many guys are the system. And so I think that alone kind of answers the question. And to kind of piggyback off of what Adam was saying, 16-1 this season as the starting quarterback. He finished, fourth in QBR, third in yards per attempt, fourth in quarterback rating, and he was tied for second. There were four guys that had 13 rushing touchdowns. He was tied for second, regardless of position, in rushing touchdowns with 13, and that's missing 2 regular season games. And so when I look at Jalen Hurts, another reason why I know he's great, another reason why I know that he's not a byproduct of the system, any man that's ever been through adversity, any man that's ever been through trauma and has survived and lived to tell the tale, I think it's great in whatever they choose to do. And in Jalen Hurts' case, it's football. He's been through a ton of adversity. He's been written off, like my guy Geno Smith over here in Seattle. He never wrote back. He literally never did. And he went through adversity over in Alabama, even over in Oklahoma, first couple of years of his tenure in Philadelphia. And because of the adversity, because of the trauma, because of the doubters, because of everybody who's, written him off, he's great because of that. He's a system. I mean, the stats show it. When I watch him on tape, when I watch him, I mean, what is he missing? What is he lacking? He's also a great leader. When we saw the Eagles without him, that Eagles offense looked pathetic, looked anemic. I understand Gardner-Minshew had a good game against the Cowboys, but how did he look against the Saints the next week? That team completely fell apart. What happened to all the playmakers on that team? They had a whole bunch of these playmakers, right? They didn't show up. Gardner-Minshew didn't show up. And now all of a sudden when Jalen Hurts is inserted back into the lineup, he's not even 100%. Let's not forget, he is not 100%. And they're over here blowing teams out. He doesn't even need to pass the ball. And so this is from Michael Parsons out there, because Michael Parsons was the biggest proponent of that. He talked about how, look at the team around him. Well, what did that team do around him when they didn't have him? What did they do? So, yes, Jalen Hurts has proven himself. He is definitely not a system quarterback. I don't want to hear that. I think it's even disrespectful to even ask this question. I'm not looking at you guys, and the question has got to be asked. But for anyone actually questioning whether or not he's the byproduct of the system or whatever, that's a bunch of nonsense. It's just absolutely disrespectful.
Neil, they're going to put me off my own show right about now because they're going to say this now. Huh? And again, I'm here for the debate. Both things can be true at the same time, and they don't have to be mutually exclusive. I say that to say, so before I get into that, I'm not here to discredit anything Jalen Hurts say, because the first time you say something, oh, he's a hater. I'm here to say, I will admit, right, I would love Jalen Hurts to be the face of my franchise. Like, this young man has done nothing but show that he is a mature leader. And I put them in separate things. Him being mature for the age he is and the leader he is. So let me go. Y'all briefly touched, and I spoke about it at the top of this question. Let me talk about the adversity he's faced. Adam has spoken about it at length on the show. Not only was he replaced as a starting quarterback for the most historic college of all time in football, he was replaced in a national title game on national television with a quarterback who went on to win that title game, right? And not once did you hear or see Jalen Hurts pout. You saw Jalen Hurts put on a headset, support Tua Tagovailoa, and was happy to win a national title game. The very next season, he was benched for said quarterback. And never once did you hear Jalen Hurts say, I want to transfer. There was no pouting. There was no noise. He sat down, and he was the ultimate teammate. He went on to Oklahoma. Never once did you hear him pour shade on Tua Tagovailoa. Never once did you hear him pour shade on Nick Saban. Nothing bad about Alabama. Went about his business. When people like Adam thought he should have been drafted for 92nd, never peeped. Never was upset. Went in the weight room, went on the field, and did nothing but work and kept his head.
That's right.
He sat down behind Carson Wentz. Not a peep, not a noise. Work, the ultimate teammate. Then when he got a chance to take over the job, he was, again, weirdly, erroneously benched on national television when everyone knew that the Philadelphia Eagles were there trying to tank, and he was trying to earn a starting quarterback job. Huh? I say all of that to say this is the guy who you want as your CEO. This is the guy who you want as your leader on the field, because he is nothing but a mature young man who can lead any locker room. I'd have him as my quarterback today if I could. Now, to the second part of the question in terms of a system quarterback, I think Ken and Steezy kind of mentioned it because he is a system. And the system is built around him. I don't know that you're taking Jalen Hurts and putting him in, I don't know, let's say Matt LaFleur's system, and you are seeing the same productivity. And I say that this is not a knock, because reality of the situation is he's playing in that system. He's not playing in my system. He's not playing in someone else's system. He's playing in that system. And the system is geared towards what he does well, which is to get him on the outside, to freeze linebackers and those people at the second level who do not know whether to get after the passer, to run and fill running lanes, or to stay home worrying what Jalen Hurts is going to get on the outside and do, or run up middle. I've seen teams do some madness and rush the quarterback on zero blitzes, and I've watched Jalen Hurts just stroll into the end zone. So to say, I don't want to say a system quarterback. The system is geared towards everything he does well. And I don't think to say that is a criticism of a young man. I'm just not sure that you put him in someone else's system and the productivity is still the same. So I want to credit Shane Steichen. I don't want to credit Nick Sirianni for recognizing, let's put him in a heavy RPO system to get the best out of Jalen Hurts. Let's bring in an AJ Brown, a big body receiver, so he can throw to and get those 50-50 balls. Something maybe that, people have said Lamar Jackson needs in Baltimore, but that's another conversation for another game. Like, he is the system, as you all said, and I don't think that that's a criticism, because he's in that system. And until he plays in another system, I think it will be unfair to criticize him because he's in that system. So I don't. It is wrong. I don't think it is wrong, or it is. Both things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
I respect the way you delivered that take. It was very straightforward, and I feel like that is probably the most accurate representation of like what Hurts really is. Like me, I'm like blowing it out of the water, like energy. Obviously, that's me, on every show. But that's very well put. I was waiting for you to drop some BS, Mr. Marville. No. But that was good, sir. I like that.
I will be first to admit that I wasn't a Jalen Hurts believer coming out of college, or his first couple seasons, right?
Yeah.
But for me to ignore the young man's development would be asinine.
Yep.
And again, I think we overlook the things that you can't measure, and the things that you can't measure are leadership, locker room. You can't measure these things. These are not something that you go on a pro day.
Nope.
And you can show that this is not your arm strength. This is not your vertical. These, and I think that is the most important thing, because I've seen what quarterback leadership looks like.
Right.
And it can also tell you it can see what it doesn't look like.
Yep. And I feel like the only time we call that leadership, or locker room presence into question is when you have these leaks, like when, people are talking about Kyler Murray, and I think it was like DeAndre Hopkins' dad, like when you get those types of leaks about players, that's the only time we really rightfully have, news to question their leadership. So I like that. I like that as well. It is hard to measure, and you just got to take it for what it is. It's like you have to look deeper into their draft journey, kind of like people, with Mahomes. I mean, Shannon Sharp, Chris Carter, people were like, I don't like this pick. Like, why did the Chiefs take Mahomes? Clearly he's playing on Sunday for a reason, so
clearly. And I only the other day, thank you, Ken put in the chat, it was about the background, the high school background, and I will share it with y'all. It's an extremely great lead. It was on ESPN, right, Ken?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. ESPN. Great read on why Patrick Mahomes is what he is, showing you that he didn't even win his starting quarterback job at high school for his first 3 years of his career, and the 2 sports star. It's an extremely great read, if I can remember the writer. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, Steezy A. Smith, we have spoken at length how great this quarterback is over the years, but unfortunately, we cannot overlook that he is indeed coming into this matchup with a high ankle sprain. Steezy, does that injury play a major role in the outcome of the Super Bowl?
Just a little bit. I kind of spoke on this earlier. I think that his mobility is a very underrated aspect of his game. And if he was 100% healthy, I'd actually speak on that as an X factor heading into this game. Obviously, he didn't show too many ill effects against the Bengals, but then the Bengals pass rush isn't the Eagles pass rush. And so I'm going to say all that to say that I think it affects the outcome of the game just a little bit. But I think people, and I'm not saying you guys forgot about this, but if his injury is affecting the outcome of this game, then what about Jalen Hurts' injury? Because he hasn't been 100%. So if we're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes' injury, we also have to bring in Jalen Hurts' shoulder injury. He has not been 100% himself. So I guess in a way, the injuries kind of cancel out now, do they not?
Very well. Neil should have stopped me when they put for this topic list, but Neil was like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to let Justin die on this hill by himself. Ken, same question. Does this injury play a significant role, or is he over it considering he has practiced all this week?
No, I don't think he's over it. To think that Patrick Mahomes is over a high ankle sprain that normally takes 6 weeks of rest, elevation, and all kinds of manipulation.
All of a sudden, we need 6 weeks and nailing down how we get over high ankle sprain. That's why I bring these guys on the show.
But I can't tell you how to get over a high ankle sprain, but I know that all of the experts were saying that this is a 6-week injury that he was playing on. We have light again. Okay, so I'll make this point, and then I have to drop off so I can when my home internet reconnects, I'll drop off there. But what I was saying, so we have a 6-week injury that he played on 1 week later. It would be ridiculous to think that his ankle is all the way better with another 2 weeks of rest. But the 2 weeks is going to help him. It's going to help him. It's going to help everybody because a little bit more rest and a little bit more work. The lady who, I don't remember her name, unfortunately, the doctor who helped him with his high ankle sprain, clearly she's a magician because a 6-week injury and he was out there running around like that. And also hitting the highest top speed of any scramble he's had in any game in this postseason. I can't remember the exact numbers, but his highest scramble before was 14 point something miles per hour. And on that play that he drew the unnecessary roughness on, he hit 18 miles an hour on a high ankle sprain. So to come back now to the question that you asked, if this is going to affect it, that goes without saying. His mobility and his ability to extend plays is part of what makes him so dangerous, and we saw it in the AFC Championship game. That it was also affecting his ability to throw. There were times that he tried to plant and push off the leg, and he just didn't have the same velocity coming through that technique. Eagles coming into this game had the most sacks of any team in the NFL, and they had multiple players who had double-digit sacks in the season. So if Mahomes can't move as he would like, it forces him now to have to try to get the ball out quicker, which will also affect the entire game plan for the Chiefs. Now, as I made mention of before, they've been trying to force Mahomes and the Chiefs into this dink and dunk offense, short plays, because they're trying to keep the safeties back to take away the deep shots. It has worked to some degree, but at the same time, he's still Patrick Mahomes, and they were the number one seed. I guess you could say for a reason, even though if part of that reason does have an asterisk on it. So going into this game, yes, it is going to be a factor. Is it going to be the main factor? We shall see. Because as was mentioned just now by Steezy, Jalen Hurts does have a shoulder injury, but Jalen Hurts is still running and trying to run over people with his shoulder injury. Whereas when you look at what Patrick Mahomes is doing, he's still trying to be the Patrick Mahomes, the pocket passer, the guy that stands in there and maybe scrambles around a bit while somebody gets free and makes something happen. It is going to affect him. We'll see if it is critical come Sunday.
And y'all thought sports science was dead because here Ken came up with 6 weeks to get over a high ankle injury.
I believe it, though.
A high of 18 miles per hour. And y'all think we just talk sports here, huh? Adam, same question here. Does Mahomes' high ankle injury play a significant role in the outcome of this Super Bowl?
I'm not going to say absolutely not, but it's a less than 5% chance that I truly feel like Patrick Mahomes' high ankle sprain is really going to hinder the Chiefs' chances of bringing home the second championship and for the dynastic talks and Mahomes and everything. Because we saw what he did, in the AFC title game. I mean, the fact that he hit 18 miles an hour on a high ankle sprain is crazy. The numbers that he put out there. I mean, I know for a fact Patrick Mahomes is being extremely careful. I know he's going to be healthy when the Super Bowl gets here. It's great that he's in the Super Bowl because now he has basically a 2-week bye week, a 2-week healing period. Like Andy Reid is crazy off a bye. So if there's anything wrong with Mahomes, Reid has planned for it. Andy Reid has planned for it. This is a big stage for Kansas City. They got over the hump per se of, the Bengals obviously and got over the pressure of the back-to-back. But they also got embarrassed in the last Super Bowl, so they're prepared. And I don't believe that Mahomes' injury is going to really have a major effect. Like I said, 5% or less. I'm not going to say absolutely not because I know ankle sprains and things of that nature when you move around, especially as much as Patrick does. So it's going to be interesting. But no, I think Mahomes is going to be about 95, 98% in this game.
We spoke at length about how this works in trenches, right? Hold on a second. We talk about how this works in the trenches, Rob. Like I mentioned before, Patrick Mahomes has been practicing all week. So I have to feel, and we saw what he did at Cincinnati being able to bubble on that one leg and brought up the fact that, in game winning play, he was able to, basically elude defenses, get that first down, draw the penalty, and, the rest is history. But the Cincinnati front seven is not Philadelphia. And we all talked about the 70 sacks that our front seven got. We talked about they led the league in not just sacks, quarterback hits, quarterback pressures. This is a much improved Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, one of the better units in all of football. I think Patrick Mahomes was sacked the third fewest in the entire league at 22, which is amazing. Like I said, this is where the game will be decided. How much can they keep Patrick clean? Steezy brought the point, like a lot of Patrick Mahomes' understated ability is what he does by extending plays and making those big plays. I will be surprised if Philly plays a too deep zone because there's no Tyreek Hill anymore. And part of the thing with this Kansas City offense, and they have a lot of injuries with the playmakers, is that you want to take away Travis Kelce underneath. Like, that's his security blanket, his number one receiver. If they can do that and force Patrick to keep the ball in his hands a lot longer, then they're going to have issues trying to keep Hassan Reddick, Brandon Green. I'm missing one more name I want to mention, but they're going to have, there you go, they're going to have problems keeping those guys out of the backfield. If Patrick can't extend plays, or if the Philadelphia Eagles do indeed decide to take away those underneath routes, probably double Travis Kelce, then I think that injury is going to play a significant role in this game. But I thought so against Cincinnati, and well, what the hell do I know? So speaking of Patrick Mahomes, let's keep it on one of these all-time greats. Adam,
oh man,
he wins his second Super Bowl in his third trip.
Yeah,
we already talking about a top 10, all-time quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Justin, this was so damn hard, bro. And I'm just gonna put it out there as simple, as sweet as I can. Basically, how I thought about it before, and then honestly, just so happened to be watching What's Right with Nick Wright today. Really awesome podcast, by the way. Just came across it not too long ago, and he really put the take out there. So I'll kind of say what I felt first, and then venture into him. So basically, when I looked at the top 10 quarterbacks ever, in no specific order, Brady, Montana, Manning, Elway, Bradshaw, Aikman, Unitas, Young, Breeze, Staubach. With obviously you got your Mahomes, Bart Starr, Big Ben, Dan Marino in there. And I don't even feel solid on that list, right? But when you just talk about what he's actually done in his first 5 years, 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns, 5 straight AFC title games, a pre-snap penalty from Tom Brady away from going to 4 Super Bowls in 5 years. And I think if he has been to that now 4th Super Bowl, if this was the 4th one, I think we're probably a lot more set on this conversation because of what he would have been able to do. I mean, the Super Bowl appearances, if he wins 2 titles, if he wins another MVP, which I think he's going to, if he wins another Super Bowl MVP, 2 possible Offensive Player of the Years, I mean, it's absolutely nuts. And here's the ultimate factor. If Patrick Mahomes wins, the list of quarterbacks with multiple MVPs and Super Bowl wins is Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, who I undoubtedly probably do think are the top 3 quarterbacks ever, and then it would be Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes does all that and wins Super Bowl MVP, Brady, Montana, Mahomes. So I like this is tough, dude. This is really tough because it's 5 years in. I've heard a lot of takes of, oh, well, Andy Reid might hang it up after this year. No, the hell he's not. But what does Mahomes look like after Andy Reid? We know it was a risky pick. Andy Reid is the whisperer. We saw what he did with McNabb and Vic, and obviously the NFC title games and the Super Bowl appearances. So we don't know what the next 10 years are going to look like for Mahomes. If he wins it, though, bro, I got to put him in the top 10. I have to. How much longer do we wait? How much more does he have to do? I mean, genuinely, he's never been outside, I think, of 3 in MVP voting. And people are like, oh, that's just MVP votes. MVP votes show you specifically where you stacked up in your era. And like I said, if it's not a pre-snap penalty against Tom Brady because I think Chris Jones or whoever what it was jumped off sides, he's in his 4th Super Bowl in 5 years. What the hell? Yeah, he's top 10 if he wins this one, dude. It was so hard for me to come to this resolution with the question on the lineup, dude. It was tough. It was really tough. I was digging But I can't deny him top 10 if he wins, bro. I mean, how do you do it?
I know it wasn't hard for you, Adam, because you were just looking for reasons not to put him in the top 10, but you knew all along that you could not find a valid reason.
Oh, jeez.
You couldn't. Steezy, I kind of feel where you're leaning towards this, but I'll ask you anyway. Are we talking about an all-time top 10 quarterback if he gets the second Super Bowl?
So before I answer, I just got to ask you guys to receive proper eligibility for the Hall of Fame. You need to have played at least 7 seasons, right?
Do you?
Is it 7 seasons? I know it's 7 in the NBA, but I'm not sure for the NFL.
I'm sure there's a season count. I know you have to be retired, I think, for what, 5 years before you're eligible for induction? Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with that, and then let's say you have to have played at least a minimum of 7 seasons. Look, everything Adam is saying is on point. I mean, the man is simply undeniable. First full season as a starter, 5,000 plus yards, 50 plus touchdowns, and that was in a 16-game season, not
He's already thrown 130
season.
touchdowns in 5 seasons. Like, what?
Right. I mean, the touchdown interception ratio is there. The stats are there. The accolades are there. The awards are there. The wins are there. There's only been 10 5,000-yard passes in NFL history. He's had 2 5,000-yard seasons. It's been done on 15 different occasions. He had 2 of them. I mean, the man is simply undeniable, right? Yeah. He's had 5 seasons as a starter, 6 years in the NFL. But if the season were to end after this Sunday's Super Bowl, he'd only have accrued 6 seasons. So therefore, he wouldn't even be eligible for the Hall of Fame. The only thing literally missing on his career is longevity. So as far as talent goes, I mean, yeah, he's easily, undoubtedly, undeniably a top 5, top 10 quarterback of all time. But I'd still have to go no. Because he, first of all, he wouldn't qualify for the Hall of Fame, doesn't have enough seasons, and he's missing longevity. But outside of that, if those 2 weren't a factor, then yes, by all means, by all measures, yes. But because of those 2 things, and we kind of have to nitpick a little bit, I'm gonna have to say no.
Yeah, it's just for me, his first half decade is literally unprecedented. So it's like, how do you deny him? But I totally feel like, what does Mahomes look like without Andy Reid? We don't know. Like, we really don't. Andy Reid is a GOAT, probably like top coach of all time. We saw him in college, of course. Right, little reckless. Go ahead.
We don't need to see because he's been playing with Andy Reid.
Right.
So, guys, to answer your question quickly, I'll let you all rattle off very quickly. Who do y'all have in your top 10 all-time quarterbacks? Just throw it out there. Go first, Adam.
So, all right. Brady, Montana, Manning, Elway, Bradshaw, Aikman, Unitas, Young. Probably Staubach and then Mahomes with Breeze, Starr, Ben, and Marino sitting on the outside. I mean, but I'm not solid in that, man. Like, don't do this to me on your show live, please. Like, I'm not. I'm gonna leave Starr and Ben out, but it's really hard. I'm gonna leave Drew out too. I can't deny Staubach. Like, I can't deny Unitas, Young, Aikman, Bradshaws. Like, these are multiple time champions. These are people that some of these guys didn't lose in the Super Bowl. Like, some of these guys played when the offenses weren't very heavily used and still found a way to get in there and win, So it's tough, but yeah, I'm going to leave. Okay, here we go. Brady, Montana, Manning, Elway, Bradshaw, Aikman, Unitas, Young, Staubach, Mahomes. No specific order. I'm only solid in the top 3. Brady, Montana, Manning. You can't tell me anything outside that.
I think left out Aaron Rodgers.
Next.
What's your 10?
Next.
Honestly, my 10 is pretty much Adam's 10. I don't know who I would take out. I would need him to kind of go over his list again, but I do have Aaron Rodgers in my top 10. So pretty much everybody on Adam's list, but I have Aaron Rodgers. Patrick Mahomes is creeping in. Obviously, once he hits, the 7 seasons that I think is required to get into the Hall of Fame, once he's accrued more longevity, then he's easily in the conversation. Like, those 2 things, like, nothing's holding him back aside from those 2 things. But over time, like, it will come. It will happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So my top 10 is literally, I'm going to say it again, Adam's list, minus one of them, add in Aaron Rodgers, and then Patrick Mahomes is kind of creeping in.
I think I'll fix it for you. Brady, Montana, Manning, Elway, Bradshaw, Aikman, Unitas, Young, Rodgers, Mahomes. Sorry, Staubach. Sorry, Breeze. Again, next.
Y'all, I'm kind of sometimes look at myself as a historian in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm about to say may come as a hot take right about now, and y'all know I'm not a big hot take person.
Right.
Regardless of the result, Patrick Mahomes is already a top 10 quarterback of all time.
Heard that.
I'm saying that, and here's the reason why I'm going to say, right? He's already 8th all time in playoff touchdowns. He's about to play in his 3rd Super Bowl, which is more than, and I'll list them for you: Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Steve Young, Dan Marino, Drew Brees, Johnny Unitas, Joe Namath. All he's about to play his 3rd Super Bowl, which is more than all of those players they just called.
God.
Sheesh.
And when we talk about guys like Aikman and Terry Bradshaw, right? Guys who I watched and I have, not Terry Bradshaw, but I saw Aikman, who I have a ton of respect for. When you can sit down and say, "Oh, but they had these loaded teams and that's why they won." Like obviously Aikman had like Emmitt Smith and I want to say playmaker, and then great defenses with him along with Deion Sanders. And then you talk with Terry Bradshaw and Steel Curtin, Lynn Swann, and you go on and on. Patrick Mahomes is easily the reason that the Kansas City Chiefs are a Super Bowl contender each and every year.
100%.
It is not you're coming to say this team is a contender because of these defense or these weapons. It is Patrick Mahomes. If he wins, and guys, I have to believe he's about to get his 2nd MVP. And as you mentioned,
yes,
when you talk about multiple MVP winners and multiple Super Bowls, you're talking about Brady, Peter Manning, and what's the name I'm looking for?
Joe Montana.
And Joe Montana.
Quarterbacks with multiple MVPs and Super Bowls. Yep. If he wins Super Bowl MVP, it's only him, Montana, and Brady.
When you're talking
Crazy
about
dog.
Brady and Peter Manning, we are talking about only things these have done. And you are gone past the likes of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Dan Marino already. It is hard to sit down and see Roger Staubach is a better quarterback, Johnny Unitas, and I could go on, and Joe Namath.
Right.
And granted, these guys played in different years, so I can't look at the stats. But this guy is the reason, not a part of the reason, not a part of the system.
The reason.
He is the reason.
Yep.
We talk about consistently every year the Kansas City Chiefs start at the top of the AFC. Yep. Guys, have you realized, right, that the Kansas City Chiefs are about to play their 3rd Super Bowl in the Patrick Mahomes era? They have not played a single road playoff game outside of the Super Bowl. Let that settle in.
Yep.
The Kansas City Chiefs in Patrick Mahomes' time have not played a single road playoff game. I cannot tell you in a 4 or 5 year span whichever quarterback has done that.
Right.
Because none of them have ever done that.
Yep.
Guys, we are already talking about a top 10 quarterback of all time.
Yep.
And I hate to be a prisoner of the moment, but if he wins a Super Bowl, he may be a top 5 already.
And it would be major if he wins the MVP and the Super Bowl, not Super Bowl MVP, but just the MVP and the Super Bowl, because that hasn't been done since 2000, Kurt Warner. So that would just even be another record to pile on top of the mountain of accolades he's already got an argument with. I mean, it's honestly, it's like Cowherd said, how much longer do we have to wait? How much longer do we have to wait? What more does he have to do? Like, when you just look at that track record, insane.
And again, I'm not longer because this guy's already top 10, but Ken has been rubbing his hands, so he may be coming in disagreement. Ken, if Patrick Mahomes wins the 2nd Super Bowl before turning 28, is he a top 10 quarterback of all time?
I so wish I was able to get in here before you give your take, Justin. I so wish. But the good thing is that the stats that you give and the stats that I have are not the same stats. But for me, Patrick Mahomes is already top 10 all time if he doesn't take another snap in the NFL. So Adam was asking the question, Steezy had made a mention of it, and Adam was also asking about the eligibility requirements for the Hall. According to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the only eligibility requirement you have is to have retired for at least 5 years. You don't have to play a certain number of years. You don't have to do any of that fanciness. You just need to retire for 5 years. and then you are eligible for the Hall. So if Patrick Mahomes does not play another snap, if he, for whatever reason, his foot drops off tonight and Chad Henne has to play the Super Bowl on Sunday, he is for certain a first ballot Hall of Famer today, February 6th, 2023. So y'all give some numbers, right? But I had some numbers here too. So in 5 seasons as the starter, he has his 5 AFC championship appearances. That's the easy one, right? 2 Super Bowl appearances and 1 Super Bowl win, with another appearance coming on Sunday. No, with a win and potentially another Super Bowl MVP, Mahomes will be the 5th player to win Super Bowl MVP twice, after being the first player to win league and Super Bowl MVP before his 25th birthday. Mahomes is averaging 4,040 yards per season and 32 touchdowns, and that's including his rookie season with a single start, 248 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 or 2 interceptions. You take out that rookie season, he is averaging 4,791 yards and 38 touchdowns. He has not thrown for less than 4,000 yards at any point in his career as a starter. He is one of 3 quarterbacks to throw for over 5,000 yards in a season twice. The other 2 being Drew Brees at 5 and Tom Brady with 2. It is without question that he is one of the best 10 quarterbacks of all time, and health and production remaining constant or consistent, he can be standing at the top rung when all is said and done.
Well,
Wait, can I change my answer then?
there's one more
I
stat.
know, right? Like, wait a second.
There's one more stat I forgot to put in. He is already 2nd all time in touchdown to interception ratio. Let's also not forget that 2nd all time in touchdown to interception ratio, only behind Aaron Rodgers. But go ahead, Steezy.
Hold on, real quick. I think I saw something the other day. Patrick Mahomes. So, go ahead, Steezy. I want to find it. Go ahead first, bro, because this one blew my mind. Go ahead, Steezy.
All right, brother. I just wanted to say, I don't know why, but I was just thinking of the NBA's, Hall of Fame eligibility. But now that, Ken has kind of clarified, then I've changed my answer, man. I don't want to look stupid in front of, America. I mean, come on, y'all. No, Patrick Mahomes is easily and undoubtedly a top 10 quarterback of all time. And like I said, talent-wise, he might already be top 5 all time, regardless of not, or whether or not he wins the Super Bowl this Sunday. I was just getting too technical with it. I was kind of, going by the letter of the law. But now that that's not even a factor whatsoever, then yes, man, forget everything that I said earlier. For those of you guys that are tuned in, man, I'm sorry I look stupid in front of y'all. But no, I'm changing my answer, man. Yes, he is. Whether or not he wins the Super Bowl this Sunday or not.
Here we go.
Look,
Most passing touchdowns in conference championship games all time. Tom Brady's number 1 with 14 games, 21 passing touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes has played 5 AFC title games, a third of what Brady has played, and already has 14. Just to put that out there, dude.
Right, so you can imagine then how stupid.
Like he is going to set records that are going to be uncatchable, I feel like. And I don't want to jump because I said Brady was going to have 10 Super Bowls, but numbers packed in this tight. Like even after the MVP season, he still threw for a ton of yards, but like half the touchdowns, oddly enough, like 26 touchdowns. So he's going to have these ebbs and flows in his career. But like could Patrick Mahomes really throw for 120,000 career yards? Like, I think that's a serious thing that we're starting to look at now. Like it's nuts, dude.
So when we had our show last week is when I had those numbers first. Yeah. Because was it last week? No, it was the week before when we were previewing the AFC Championship game. Yeah. And I said, because, there was a whole talk about Arrowhead and this thing and the next thing, and if Burrow is better than Mahomes and all kind of talk. So I did the numbers. And exactly. So when we looked at the numbers, Joe Burrow, he was averaging 3,900 and some yards per year. And like I said, I had Patrick Mahomes' rookie year where he played 1 game in my numbers. I remember there was 4,040. When I took that out, it's 4,800 yards though. So And even with the 40, including his thing, if he played until he was 40, which gave him 20 years in the league, he's at 80,000 yards. Brady has retired at age 45 of 89,000.
Mm.
Nothing more needs to be said.
I guess I shouldn't have put that question in the talk because we all agree man is probably already a top 10. Adam, it really wasn't that hard, was it? Yeah.
Well, like, oh man, yeah. It's like, yeah, next. I can't, bro. Like, I can't. I can't do it. It is what it is.
His quarter. So, all right. Well, if we're going to next, his head coach or his tight end. We're talking about this being the Kelce Bowl because this is the first time, indeed, that two brothers are going to be playing each other in the Super Bowl, meaning Jason and Travis Kelce. But, guys, Andy Reid has coached both of these teams to this big game spot.
Yep.
So, Ken, now that you're back with us, is this game going to be remembered more as the Andy Reid Bowl or should it be the Kelce Bowl?
So, while this is the first time, as you may mention in your lead-in, that we have two brothers facing off against each other in the Super Bowl, this is all about Big Red for me. Andy Reid is a genius head coach and offensive mind, and that will not change regardless of if he wins another Super Bowl. But, of course, having two on the resume is far better than having just one. That said, how he was run out of town in Philadelphia, in part because he was unable to win the Lombardi, facing off against this team for him has to be extra special. Since then, both he and the Eagles have gone on to win a championship, and while they stand on, and both teams stand on the cusp of doing it a second time. The history made by the Kelce boys will be all well and good, but they're both on offense and not lining up against each other. It would be different if, let's say, Jason was a linebacker and standing up and probably covering his brother, or Travis was a defensive lineman and going against his brother all game long. But they're both on the same side of the ball, so they'll see each other at pregame and they'll see each other after the game is finished, and they probably won't cross paths again until that point shall come. But even though what they're doing is historic, at no point in time during this game will we be able to forget the history between Coach Reid and the Eagles, and neither should we.
Adam, same question. Kelce Bowl or Andy Reid Bowl?
I think this is undoubtedly the Kelce Bowl by far. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the New Heights podcast by both of the Kelce brothers. Ironically, it's the number one sports podcast out there right now. Of course, we're number two, no question. But Jason and Travis actually brought Donna and Ed Kelce onto the show for 2.5 hours today, and just any Super Bowl chop up. I mean, they completely chopped it up today, right? And for to backtrack some. Total respect to Big Red. Clearly, he has done major things. Andy Reid is a top coach of all time. Look what he's done with multiple quarterbacks. Look how he's elevated multiple people, multiple franchises. He's been given his flowers. That is great. But you also have the fact that the city of Philadelphia has had over 100,000 people have signed a petition to have Donna Kelce do the coin toss at the Super Bowl. The media has totally taken this one over for them. I mean, but let's be real. Travis is one of the biggest personalities in the NFL. And then you get him and his brother Jason on a podcast. Like, they're already on their way to 1 million subscribers on YouTube before you know it. Obviously, a lot of money gets behind it, fame, this, that, and the third. They've earned it, though. So to me, this is undoubtedly the Kelce Bowl.
1-1. Right here, no. Steezy, Andy Reid Bowl, Kelce Bowl, what do you have?
Man, this one isn't hard for me. Adam kind of spoke on it with all due respect to the venerable Andy Reid. This has got to be known as the Kelce Bowl. I mean, for me, and Ken, you make a great point, well-spoken. I understand everything that you're saying. I'm not opposed to any of it, but I mean, you just look at the Kelce brothers, they were teammates in college. They're both amongst, the best players at their positions, regardless of the position, and some of the best players in the NFL. And so I think just to see that, it's just amazing, and my answer might be slightly biased because my best friend is also my blood brother. And, when I think about their relationship and how close they are, how great they are on camera, on their podcast, and, they're both great personalities, on and off the field. And, the dynamic between the two kind of just reminds me of my brother and I and how close we are, our bond and, the things that we do together and whatnot. And just to kind of add on to that, no matter how great a coach is, at the end of the day, the great players are always going to overshadow, the great coaches. And for me, that's kind of what takes the cake here. Again, all due respect to Andy Reid. He's an OG. He's very, very great. One of the best of all time. But this is going to be known as the Kelce Bowl for me.
You almost got me to shed a tear there, Steezy. I saw you trying to get me all emotional on this podcast. Not today, though. So, like, in the historic league, when you talk about doing something for the first time, it has to be massive. And so for the first time, having two brothers has to be huge, right? Like, we've been playing football for over a century now, and over a century now. And so when you do something for the first time, it has to be major. So, shout out to Kelce brothers. But y'all kids are crazy. This is the Andy Reid Bowl. And you know what is the Andy Reid Bowl?
He got us.
Yeah, I got y'all.
500.
Don't worry, Ken. I got your back. You know why this has to be Andy Reid Bowl? Y'all talked about the Kelces. Andy Reid drafted both of them. Both of them are drafted when he was
Oh, check and mate.
True.
So when he was in Philadelphia, he got Jason Kelce and got Travis Kelce. He even called Jason and told Jason, put your brother on the phone when he was drafting him. Andy Reid's handprints, fingerprints are all over this to the point, and Ken kind of touched on this, right? This is so much, and I feel like Andy Reid has to be feeling the pressure in this. And want to know why? Andy Reid was pushed out of Philadelphia because he was thought that he could not win the big one. He got to like 5 or 6 straight NFC title games, just won Super Bowl, and lost a number of NFC title games, lost the Super Bowl, obviously in Philadelphia. If he loses this year, the Philadelphia Eagles, since Andy Reid's departure, would have won 2 Super Bowls with 2 head coaches and 2 different starting quarterbacks. Could you imagine that? Essentially justifying the reason why they got rid of Andy Reid. I'm sorry, kids, but when we're talking about history and we're talking about
damn, he hit us with the kids.
Yep, and he
He hit us with the kids.
The Kelces, and the guy drafts both of them. The guy coached both of these teams and led both to Super Bowl, and now could be facing a situation where the Eagles are justified by moving on in winning 2 Super Bowls with 2 head coaches and 2 different starting quarterbacks since you've been there. Sorry, guys. It's the Andy Reid Bowl for me. You were
super
going
fair.
to add. You were going to add something, Adam. Sorry.
Yeah. So Ken, I felt like you might understand this one. So he hit us. He said, "Listen, kids." He hit us with the old Sean Payton, Drew Brees, post presser. Listen, just like when they start out the statement, that's what it felt like there. That was all.
I'm just joking, y'all, because y'all have so much ahead of you, and I feel like I'm down the hill and over the hill already. But we have spoken so much of the Super Bowl, and we have not gotten to the most important point of the Super Bowl. And of course, gentlemen, it is the halftime show, because none other than my countrymate Rihanna is going to be performing at the halftime show. So, like, nothing else matters for me. So, Ken, as a fellow Bajan, sorry, these guys got to take a back seat now. Ken, as a fellow Bajan on this, like, what are you expecting from Rihanna? What are you hoping for? What's your favorite song? And which song do you think is going to be left off?
So I can't tell you which song's been left off because she has too many. There's no way that she can perform all of them. So, see, Justin, this one, this is a question that has me now kind of stuck in trying to figure out how to answer it, because there's the fan in me that can answer it, and then there's the musician in me that can answer it in a different way. So I'm going to try to marry the two very quick. The first thing that I'm expecting is something much better than The Weeknd gave us, because The Weeknd probably should have started performing on Friday night, not on Super Bowl Sunday. What am I expecting from a Rihanna halftime show? From what I've seen of her performances, because unfortunately I've never been in the same place that she's been when she's performing, so I've never had the opportunity to go see her live myself, but it's always a fantastic production. In terms of the audio, it's going to be great. Of course, with the Super Bowl, everything's pre-recorded, so it's not like if she's going to be giving us live vocals, except for like when she's talking on stage. Um, just to give you an example of how like this it was played up on, you remember the Red Hot Chili Peppers did the Super Bowl halftime show with Bruno Mars a few years back. I don't remember the exact year, and while they were on stage playing their guitars, they had their guitars plugged in, like the cable was plugged into the guitar, but it was tied around the back of the guitar. It wasn't connected to anything because they're not pumping out live sound. So when we see the show, when we hear the show, it's not going to be live vocals. So it's going to be a great performance. No, one of the things too that I'm looking forward to is that, well, for the Super Bowl, they're going to have an actual hero on stage because Rihanna is a national hero of Barbados. She's, with no disrespect to Beyonce and all others who's been there, none of y'all are national hero of where you come from. Rihanna is that. So therefore, respect is given where respect is due. And then the other thing,
her.
yes, exactly. And then Justin, I'm sure you might be aware, but just in case you're not, I know the viewers will not be. Rihanna is going to be the first Barbadian headliner, but she's going to be the second Barbadian performer at the Super Bowl. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Nice.
The first Barbadian performers at the Super Bowl were the Merry Men, or a little folk band, yes, from back home. They performed in 1995 with Gloria Estefan, Stevie Wonder, and the jazz band Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. You can go look it up. So this is some history that's being made at Super Bowl Sunday, not just with the black quarterbacks and the historical significance of that, but you're bringing Bajan royalty to perform at the biggest sporting event in the United States. Can't wait. Cannot wait.
In the words of the immortal Bart Scott, Adam, yeah, sorry, this is obviously country pride for us. But yeah, what do you expect
good,
from
man.
Rihanna? What are your favorite hits? What are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm just, honestly looking forward to just a great game complemented by an awesome Super Bowl halftime show. And it's like the spotlight is just her. I won't lie, I haven't super looked into the halftime show, but the spotlight's just her, right?
Yeah, but usually these guys bring surprise guests. But yeah,
Right.
Spotlight is just,
Because I felt like last year was so much like, yes, was it the greatest Super Bowl halftime show ever? Yeah, but God, how couldn't it have been? You know what I mean? Like the whole Mahomes conversation we just had, how couldn't it have been? So I just really want a great show out of her. Some of my favorite hits, though, obviously, I'm going to sound like a Rihanna fanboy, fangirl, whatever. She's made great music in my lifetime, though. Umbrella, Love the Way You Lie, Only Girl in the World, Diamonds, What's My Name, We Found Love, Don't Stop the Music. Like, I could keep it going, bro. She's in my rotations, okay? With all.
You better have my money.
What's up now?
You better have my money.
I know, man. But if we're gonna like venture into guests that I would like to see, I think it'd be sick for Eminem to make his second straight Super Bowl appearance at the halftime show and come out and Love the Way You Lie and just spit a couple verses, because I think already that's one of her most iconic songs out there. So just bringing Shady back second year in a row, like Eminem, Rihanna, like we would love to see it. She's gonna kill it, no question about it. Probably gonna be one of the best Super Bowl halftime shows ever. Not that they ever super butchered them, but great pick here. Great matchup. History's on the line. Two black starting quarterbacks. Rihanna looking amazing on the stage. So let's make it happen.
okay, we can cut the show now. There's nothing else to say after that. No. Yeah, but actually, Steezy, go ahead. Rihanna halftime show. What do you want?
Man, honestly, I'm gonna keep this short and simple. This is her comeback. She was, I think she was pregnant for some time, and so she hadn't, put out a live performance or a concert in a while, right? And so I expect fireworks. I expect a great show. I don't listen to Rihanna like I used to, because kind of growing up as a kid, it was kind of like forced upon us in a way because of what we heard on the radio. I always heard Rihanna, and for me, I just, I love me a queen. I love women. I love just the beautiful, the radiant, vibrant energy that they give off. And Rihanna, to me, is just a beautiful specimen, a beautiful human being, a beautiful woman. She's just so damn fine to me. So just seeing her on the stage.
Let's just keep it simple, boys. Spade to spade.
The energy that they give off, queens like her, For me, it just I'm attracted to that. You know, aren't we all, right? And so I just, for me, I expect a great show. Some of my favorite songs, favorite hits. You know, What's My Name? That's been stuck in my head for a while now. And you know, I know it's not her song; she was a feature. But Adam already kind of pointed out, "Love the Way You Lie." I mean, my gosh, just watching that music video, just man, it's just a great song. So, you know, that'd be real dope. That'd be real cool if they did bring on Eminem. I think that really just, you know, kind of add to what's already supposed to be a great show. But yeah, I expect just a bunch of fireworks. Let's just keep it at that.
And to answer Adam's question earlier, there are rumors that there's supposed to be a reggae medley words are hard, with Sean Paul, Shaggy, and Skip Marley.
Bro.
Crazy. Like,
lordy. Guys, can I ask what y'all's plans are for the Super Bowl?
Ooh, I don't even know. I don't have any. I was supposed to be going to New York, but my wife can't get time off, so
Heard that. No worries. Steezy, how about you?
Man, brother, honestly, there's a couple of options. I'm not sure if I should go to, you know, this homie's house or this homie's house, or should I go back home, or I'm kind of stuck. Maybe I stay home. I don't know. But I'll probably find out the day of. That's usually how it comes.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Ken?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be home.
Yeah.
I have a couple folks coming over.
There you go.
You know, you turn on the TV, crank it that loud.
Yep.
Let the wife complain.
There you go.
Yep.
I don't hide where I'm from. You can hear my accent, and you know, Rihanna is, I won't say heavy in my playlist, but I absolutely love her music. And you know, she's a representation of where I am from and who I am. What's so huge about this for me is that I didn't even know what the stat Ken brought. I didn't know that the Merry Men were in a previous Super Bowl. But I remember being at work, and we had two fellow Barbadian artists, Hal Linton and Chantel. They headlined a Thanksgiving game in Detroit in 2009. So when I saw that, I figured, you know, we're not going to get any bigger than this. Like, Barbadians on a football stage, it can't surpass that. What the hell did I know? Because here we are now, right? And when you see, I know Ricky's in chat, so shout out to Ricky. When you see the marketing production that has been going on, I'm not sure if y'all saw the NFL ad with fans from all 32 teams singing parts of Rihanna's song. Like, it was amazing. I'll tell you, just go Google it right now. The production value alone, I know, is going to be off the charts. And I probably don't care about the result of the game because I don't have a horse in the race. I'm not a Chiefs fan, obviously. I'm not an Eagles fan. Been supporting this for too long. But yeah, I know have a horse in the race in Rihanna. So reality situation is I am tuning in for halftime, and I just want to hear Diamonds. I'm gonna not lie to y'all guys. Diamonds is my favorite Rihanna that is stuck in my head, and maybe even, you know, the yeah, there's too much because there's one, her first hit, the DJ one, her very first.
Don't Stop the Music.
No, don't
Pun
stop.
the replay.
Pun the replay is what I mean.
Oh my God.
When she first hit the scene with Pun the replay, right? I honestly thought that, all right, this is politely, and I'm sorry about to say this, Rihanna, I thought she would be a one-hit wonder. But I'm like, I'm happy with that one hit. I was like, you know, if we have a Barbadian with that, like, I'm good with that. And Rihanna's like, shut your mouth, boy. Hold my beer and let me show you what I got. And not just for her to be the recording artist that she is, but the philanthropist, the like her clothing lines, her, you know, acting career on top of, you know, the perfumes and the Beauty by Fenty, and it could go on and on, or Fenty Beauty, it could go on and on and on and on and on, like the millions of hits that we have. I am just so proud, and this makes me, like, you know, feel good to say that woman represents who I am.
That's awesome.
But
I love to hear that, dude.
Way long, because everyone is here for the title of the show, basically who wins Super Bowl LVII and why. So Steezy, I'm going to start with you. Who wins and why?
Man, something inside of me keeps telling me that it's going to be Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but I refuse to let that be the answer to this question. I'm going to have to roll with the Philadelphia Eagles here, man. I think with the Eagles, not only are they the better overall team, we talked about it to kind of start off the show, they've displayed the dominance in the trenches that we're so used to seeing, by a bunch of Super Bowl caliber teams in the past. And it's not like they're completely superior over both Chiefs lines, but Justin, you also brought up a great point. And I wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit, but Chris Jones, I know he ate last week against that Bengals offensive line that was missing 3 starters. Is he going to be able to eat against the best offensive line in football? Frank Clark has not been the same since he left Seattle. He's still a threat, especially come to postseason, but that Chiefs defensive line, there's going to be a lot of question marks. I'm not sure if they can get, to the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line like the Eagles defensive line is going to be able to get after that Chiefs offensive line. But with the Chiefs, with the Eagles, they just have more of a chip on their shoulders. I think they have their own equalizer in the Jalen Hurts. I think they have more to prove. And like I said, they're just a better overall football team. And so I think at the end of the day, if they come out on top, they're going to surprise the world. Jalen Hurts going to keep surprising the world, going to keep doing his thing, keep doing his Dougie. And the Eagles emerge victorious. I'm going to go with the final score of Philadelphia 28 to Kansas City 26.
Wait, like a final score prediction too.
Nice.
Same question, Ken. Who wins and why?
So the Chiefs are my pick to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. You'll remember this, Justin. You can, which we thought about. I had the Chiefs pick back then. I had the Chiefs pick to win at the beginning of the playoffs. And now they're in the Super Bowl. And I would be a fool to come here now and change my pick against the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe that the Chiefs are good enough on defense to stymie the run game of the Eagles while being stout enough on their offensive line to give Mahomes time to make his magic happen. As I mentioned before, he'll have another 2 weeks of working on the high ankle sprain, so hopefully it'll be better this week than it was in the conference championship, giving him an opportunity to move around better. He'll also have had time to get more of a rapport with the young receivers who were pressed into action in the conference championship due to the injuries to Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Mecole Hardman. I am not discounting the Eagles in the slightest, at all. But I believe in Mahomes and the Chiefs. I believe that Andy Reid is still good enough to scheme up an offensive game plan that throughout whatever issues they may have had, that they are still going to be able to make something happen in this game. And we saw the Eagles when they played against the Giants. The Giants were still able to run the football, even though all they could do going into that game was run the football. To be fair, Pacheco is not Saquon Barkley. And he is not Christian McCaffrey, but Christian McCaffrey is also able to run the football in a game that they had absolutely no threat of the pass. When you come up against the Chiefs, you have to account for the pass because, as Bomani Jones said, it's Jordan on the other side of the field. But behind Jordan, you have Pacheco, who has shown himself to be capable. And if you give him the space, he runs angry. He runs with force. And if you are not prepared for it, he will do what Marshawn Lynch said that most players can't do, which is you can't take him out running through your face over and over and over and over and over and over again. So the Eagles, yes, the Eagles are a fantastic team, but I picked the Chiefs from the beginning, and I'm rolling with Red, and I'm rolling with Mahomes.
I love the consistency. He started with Chiefs, and he's going to end with the Chiefs. Adam, who wins and why?
Yeah, man, this is a great question. It was another tough one for me because my heart is definitely rooting for Jalen Hurts, and of course I love when Jalen Hurts does. Clearly we've heard my spills about him. But I do think it's Kansas City just due to the fact that Mahomes is going to be very healthy, I believe. And I just think overall he is more talented than Jalen Hurts at the end of the day. And I don't hate to admit that because it is what it is. Yes, he's been in the league longer, but I think just the eye test will tell you that Mahomes could carry, I guess, per se. And it is clearly just better than Jalen Hurts is. And that's not a knock, of course. We know that I love Jalen. Andy Reid is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. I've also been saying all year, when the Eagles were starting to get this hype, I think around like week 6 to week 8 or something like that, I said, hey, one, I knew Jalen was a baller, so y'all are definitely late to the party. Two, Nick Sirianni was surprising me because his whole, systems and processes in the opening coach speech with the media was absolutely horrible. And then you just look at the fact that this is their first deep playoff run. Like, we've seen it before, even when, Trevor Lawrence was going to get into the playoffs. Like, that was his first game, and yes, obviously he overcame a lot, but just knowing that you have to go through the leaps and bounds, you have to go through the motions of the NFL, especially in the postseason to get there. The Chiefs got embarrassed in the last Super Bowl. They're pissed. They were playing with so much grit in the AFC title game. They're now back in the same spot. So I definitely have to take Kansas City here. I think they have the better quarterback, the better coach, the better passing game, and honestly, an equally as good O-line and pass rush, and the numbers would show you that as well. I'll give the defense in the run game to the Eagles. I don't have a score prediction, but if this one was, if the total, over-under was 40 points, I wouldn't be shocked. To be honest with you, I think I could see a low-scoring Super Bowl, just a lot of competition, a lot of refs swallowing the whistle. Just really, really great football play here. Give me Mahomes in Kansas City, though. And when they win, Mahomes will have the Super Bowl MVP as well. And we'll know if he's the MVP walking into Sunday after Thursday night.
I like that you brought up the point because, indeed, Kansas City does have the better head coach and obviously the better quarterback. But if you've been on this show long enough, there's one point I stick and say over and over and over again. We like to look at skill position players too often.
Yeah.
One spot that football is won, and that's in the trenches. And I know Guru is waiting for my pick, so I'm going to get by my Eagles and Jalen Hurts hater for the entire year. Well, guess what, Guru? You're going to be shocked because I'm going to take the Eagles. And the situation is those trenches. Like, I can't sit down and tell you I believe that football is one of the trenches and then pick Kansas City, because that's crazy. First thing first, let's start at the strength of this Philadelphia team. I know Guru is not the secondary. It's that offensive line. That offensive line is easily the best offensive line in all of football. When you talk from the left in Jordan Mailata, you go to the center in Jason Kelce, and then you go over to Lane Johnson. Each and every one of those players is ranked no lower than 7th at their respective position. Shout out to Ricky Nurse for giving me that stat. Like, this is a tremendous offensive line. And why is that so important? Because the strength of Kansas City's defense is up front with Frank Clark and Chris Jones. And we saw what happens to strength on strength when the Eagles played the Giants. The Giants thought their defensive front was so great, and that offensive line just completely dominated them. And like we saw again against San Francisco, San Francisco's defense is great. And what did they do? They sat down and ball control and told them, okay, you have two options. You can sit down and keep Jalen Hurts in your pocket, no problem. But it means that your linebackers are going to be slow to react to this run game, and they're going to be slow to react to Miles Sanders. And when Miles Sanders gets the edge, that is it. So you have one or two options. You can sit down and be slow to react, let Miles Sanders beat you, or you can come after us, and then Jalen Hurts is going to beat you on the outside. But then on the opposite end, Kansas City's offensive line is good, but I think that defensive front maybe just too much. And now you're asking a hobbled Patrick Mahomes to extend plays or stay upright against a Philadelphia fearsome front. I think Philadelphia is smart enough to know we don't have to play, or they don't have to play a too high safety. They can just sit down and say, let us focus in on Travis Kelce and make Patrick Mahomes hold the ball that much longer. And the moment he has to hold the ball that much longer, guess who comes into play? We're talking about Hassan Reddick. We're talking about the Fletcher Coxes of the world. I think that Patrick Mahomes is in for a long night here. And we saw what happened when the Buccaneers front seven got after him. I don't think it's going to be that much of a slaughter, because at least the Chiefs' offensive line is that much better. And then on the point that is going to make Guru upset and curse in my chat right about now, the one weakness the Philadelphia 76ers, wrong sport, the Philadelphia Eagles have is they cannot stop the run. problem is the Chiefs are not coming to run the football. Like, you are going to dare them to run the football, and they may give Isaiah Pacheco some handoffs here and there. But the reality is this team's offense is built to go through with Patrick Mahomes. They have some injuries on the outside, and Philadelphia is going to live with that. Because, like, again, they want to pass rush you, and the way you beat a pass rush is to run at it. And you read, and what am I missing? I can see his name, the offensive coordinator. They're not
The enemy.
the enemy are not exactly run happy. So you could dare them to run the football, and they will not do that a lot. They've done it a lot more now with Isaiah Pacheco. But still, you can dare them to run the football, and they probably won't as much. So passing the football is going to run right into Philadelphia's hands, because here comes that pass rush and that extremely, I want to say, advantageous secondary, because Philadelphia also lives on turnovers, and they like to get after receivers. And I don't know that Marquez Valdes-Scantling can have 2 straight big games, but we'll find out, guys. So, Guru, to answer your question, yeah, I actually picked the Philadelphia Eagles, but because scrimmage lanes always win football games. So, before I let y'all guys get over here, please plug yourself. Steezy has been too long, so start with yourself, Steezy. How to find you, and what you have coming up next.
Man, to the audience out there, actually, no, just shout out to you, Justin. Shout out to Neil. Shout out to Marsha. I still need to be on the show with her, by the way.
Yeah.
I've never even met her, so that needs.
She
to
does
change.
exist.
But
She
does.
is
I know she does.
She is real.
And I know she does a wonderful job on social media and whatnot. But thank you to you guys. You guys are always so welcoming. You guys are always so just willing to have me on the show. And I know I've kind of been going through a lot in the last couple of months. You've asked me to hop on the show time and time again. I've declined a few invitations, but this one, my first show back, and I don't know how long. I had a blast. I had a great time with you guys. Ken, it was nice getting to know you. Adam, man, my brother, man, you keep doing your Dougie, bro.
Thanks,
for real.
man.
Like you keep doing your thing, but I'm so glad to see you back in the game. And Justin, Neil, Marshall, you guys obviously keep doing your thing. I've been tuned in, but I just want to say thank you. Before you even bother to look for me, please be sure to show them some love. At this, Justin, on all social media platforms, drop a like, tell a friend to tell a friend, hit that subscribe button, all that good stuff, and then look for the NFL the NFL with AJL. And then Ken, I'm not sure where your handles are, so I'm sorry I can't plug that. I'll let you do your thing though. But once you guys do, go ahead and do that. Then you can find me at Steezy A Smith, SteezyASmith. I've been doing a lot more work on Instagram, trying to be more active on Twitter. I am back on YouTube. I'm just sticking to shorts right now. Twitter is greedy. I don't disagree. But I am back on YouTube now, just dropping shorts. Eventually, I will go back to dropping, full length and live streams and whatnot. But for now, I am just doing guest appearances and shorts. But please show them all the love in the world. They deserve it. They work their asses off, and thank you guys for real.
I love this dude. He may not have been able to plug Ken, but Ken will do it for himself. How to find you, Ken? What do you have coming up next?
So yeah, at Green Beige, green like the color and beige like Beijing, Baje. You can find us on Twitter, on Instagram. We are live every Tuesday. We would have started 41 minutes ago, typically. So for those of you in the Atlantic time zone, that's 9 p.m., 8 p.m. on the East Coast, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. in the mountaintop, where I am, and 5 p.m. Pacific. You can find us every Tuesday. Yeah, I do it all the time. So, yeah, every Tuesday night you can find us live on YouTube. You can find us live on Twitter. You can find us live on Instagram. However, if you want to interact live with the show, you will need to be on YouTube or on Instagram, because apparently we were getting comments on Twitter and they never saw them. So please come join us over on YouTube or on YouTube or on Facebook, not Instagram. On YouTube or on Facebook, where you can interact with us live. We have our show live tomorrow, on which Justin is going to be joining us. We're going to be previewing the Super Bowl as well. But of course, there's been a lot of fights recently in the NBA. So we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. It's always a good time when Justin is on. We're going to have another guest with us who is another family of the show. So please come join us. We won't be on next week because next week, Tuesday, is Valentine's Day. Yeah, we have to let the fellas spend some time with their loved ones. I don't want wives calling me and leaving me angry voicemails. But The Green Beige Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us there at Green Beige.
Adam is not just back on the show, but Adam is back doing individual stuff. Adam, tell them how to find you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Appreciate you so much, Justin. I want to give a lot of credit to you for getting me back on here on Mondays. It definitely just kind of got that juice back into me. Yeah, guys, I'm back. The NFL with AJL at the NFL with AJL on all platforms. I think this like automatically corrects if I get too loud. Either way, it's cool. But yeah, at the NFL with AJL. And if you check the link tree or the link in my bio on every page, it's going to take you to everything we got, all podcasts, all social media, all that. We're live Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Every Tuesday, every Friday. So you'll see me tomorrow on the channel and whatnot. Absolutely love being here. Big shout out to you guys. Obviously loving to work with y'all. And we're back. I'm blessed to be here.
If you didn't catch what these guys said, don't worry. Just look in the description of this video and they have all of their, or at least most of their handles down below. So if you want Ken, you want Adam, you want Steezy, just go below, look in the description, click a link, and you will get their stuff. You're here already, but if you're not subscribed, please do so right now. We are on live every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central for our short form content. Hit us up on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on Facebook. That is indeed hashtag this just in. Do not leave out the hashtag. You do not want Max Kellerman. So for Adam, for Steezy, for Ken, I am indeed Justin of hashtag this just in, signing out for the best Super Bowl show we had. Catch you all Super Bowl weekend and next week.
Peace.
I know that after tonight, you don't have to look up at the stars. No, 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 no. I
Come take a look at my dream world.
Tonight, you don't have to look up at the stars.
Check. If you wanna come get it, then come for it. I'm so clean, my kick's nice, I'm Chuck Norris. Minute made the beat bounce, had to jump on it. Run for it, run, Gump Forrest Gump like hollow pumps, you gotta jump. No trouble, no double, I got a stun. You don't have to look up at the stars. Make one wish, you're looking at a star.